Catching up with Sarah and Ginny, fueled by laughter and insights aplenty. Curiosity, connection, and learning that sticks. Real talk, real lives with practical tips. Welcome to Catching Up with Sarah and Ginny. Come on in.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Catching Up with Sarah and Ginny. And we are thrilled this morning to have Julia Clouter with us. And I have to say, before we've even begun, I have been kind of upskilled, Julia, already about A-sides, B-sides of records. So
I've realised that I've been too dismissive in my understanding about music and really appreciating A's and B sides and understanding the thought process goes behind that. So now I've got something to think about before you've even started telling us anything, Julia. Amazing.
Before Julia's even begun. So without further ado, Julia, what an introduction that was. But tell us who you are and what you do, please.
Right. So I'm Julia Clouter, and I'm Director of Education, Policy and Strategy for Empowering Tech, which is a beautiful company that enables me to do lots of philanthropic work, to go out and speak at conferences. And under the Empowering Tech umbrella, there are a number of different pathways supporting products, one of which is scanning pens. So for a long time, I have also been the head of education behind Scanning Pens, the person who writes all of the education resources and supports the pedagogical approach for the company in terms of what happens when you put a scanning pen into somebody's hand, into a teacher's hand, into a student's hand. Have we got the right backup and support? Is the implementation right? This is the huge thing with assistive technology. Is the implementation going to enable the teacher or the end user to be successful? So that's been my laser focus for the last 7 years. Can't believe it. 7 years with them. And before that, I was a teacher full-time for 25 years. And I worked in primary, secondary and PRUs, and did what someone with my kind of level of energy does in those situations, which is get excited about everything as a practitioner, working my way through to a leadership level, but always holding this thought of, why are some of my SEND children failing, moving through a pathway where they're getting ostracized, excluded, we're seeing behavior issues. And so my long journey has always been about learners, reading, access to learning. And then that took me on a journey of what assistive technologies can be used to support those young people to learn, be successful in their learning, but also in their perceptions of themselves as learners. Because that's the key thing for our young people. We want them to feel strong, successful and able to move into their lives with the tools that's going to enable them to enjoy and achieve. If you remember that particular document way back when, which was a real good one. But yeah, to enjoy and achieve in life and feel that you can be a successful participant in society, which is why you go into teaching, isn't it? To share your love and your passion and help these young people into the world.
Absolutely. And I think that's so important, isn't it, to remember that? Because I think a lot of the time, when you go into schools to look at a situation, no one's gone into this to look at how can I make this really bad for this young person. You've gone into this with that, wanting to make a difference, wanting things to work for that young person, but then it's all the obstacles in the way. Wonderful. Julia, that's so interesting to hear about your background, because obviously we've done lots of things together, and I know, I've seen you at lots of conferences, so it's nice to know that backstory as well. Within that, do you have a particular wow moment that you want to share with us?
I think the wow moments are where you see the lights go on with a child, a young person, a teacher, whoever it might be. The penny drop moment, those are the ones in your career that stay with you. And I had one very recently where I was lecturing at, I think it was Bath Spa University. And I was talking to the PGCE initial teacher training colleagues who were coming through. And I was talking about being a neurodivergent practitioner and about the cost of sharing that information in your workplace, with your colleagues, and the importance of your role as someone who is neurodivergent. I think we're all there, aren't we, ladies? To the people who that
Absolutely.
we tend to work with,
Yeah.
our SEND young people, but also teachers who move into the SEND space tend to be a little bit neurodivergent themselves. And just me opening up about dyslexia, dyscalculia, oh my, do I have dyscalculia, and something else called aphantasia, which is a sort of blindness inside your mind. My screen is blank. When I close my eyes, I see nothing at all. I have a kind of face blindness, so it takes me a long time to learn somebody and remember, put their face next to them and actually be able to make the dot connect between perhaps the last place I met them, the conversation that we had, who they are, all of those things. Can you imagine me as a teacher trying to do that with children? Boy, was I overwhelmed. But just that I shared this with a group of young teachers coming through, and a couple of people coming up to me afterwards and saying, "Oh, I think I understand myself a bit better now. And is it okay to actually share this information in the workplaces that I'm going into? And how do I now use tools or advocate for myself to get the tools that I need? Because I know I need mind mapping software to help me stay organized." And it was that conversation with our teacher practitioners that made me think, actually, this is an important piece of work I'm doing now. I need to share this widely because we have so many more neurodivergent people coming through into the profession.
Yeah. Wow, that's really, yeah, really powerful. And it is really powerful, isn't it? It's about that making a difference and that and you know, really having that chance ourselves to reflect on, actually, this is really going to make a difference. This is going to be something that's going to be important.
And I think it's about being a little bit vulnerable, isn't it, as well? Just to go,
Yes.
actually, this is me. And Julia, you telling us about, I want to say it properly, aphantasia. I
I
mean,
know. I was trying to write it down while you were talking.
that,
Ah,
as you say, for a teacher,
yeah.
and to acknowledge that, and from what you're saying, it's as if someone else went, yeah, yeah, I have that as well. I have that as well. And then we get that connection, don't we? We get that connection with the people we're talking to, and then it breaks down barriers, which is what we all want. We all want to be understood. We want to be accepted. And isn't that fascinating that your wow moment was, it appears to be people coming up going, oh, that's me.
And it's that opportunity to you know, you're not so different. And actually, you know, because that, we often just think we see the world in the same way as everybody else does. And then actually, as you're interacting with people, you're like, oh, they really don't, do they? They really don't see it. It must just be something wrong with my wiring. And it isn't until you get that community, that kind of like, oh, okay, so you see that too. It's so powerful. And we need to do, you know, to kind of help to create those links more, don't we, within our classrooms. So we can all
Yeah.
see that we look at things differently at different times and in different situations. Love that. Yeah.
You
Brilliant.
you don't know what you don't, and the
No.
good
Yeah.
analogy, particularly for Senkos, right? We think we have a broad understanding of what the areas of needs are of young people that we might be wanting to support with. But if you don't know and that person can't articulate or even understand what that difference is, it's tricky. So I didn't find out I had aphantasia till I was 50. So that meant I have spent a lifetime
Yeah.
masking and developing strategies to help me to
Strategies.
cope with that particular difficulty. My strategies in the classroom was I would print out the pictures of all the children. I had a book, this back in the day before GDPR, where I could carry things around with me.
Yeah. Carry it
I
around.
had I had the children's face, I had their name, I wrote down their reading age score, I wrote down their spelling age score, and I had just a couple of coloured thumb stickers that I would put on that just clued me into, okay, I know this person needs more visual information. I know that this person's better supported if I can provide them with an audio book or something that will support them to listen to the text. So that's how I did it. And I would be looking at pictures of the children and trying to match the names. And I had a seating plan, so I could do it by location, by information, and then by referencing them. That was the way I got through it. But can you imagine the cognitive overload as a teacher
Yeah.
and the work that I had to do constantly waking up? If I was teaching 200 children in a week, every class needing that level of scaffolding for me to be able to feel like I was doing exactly the same as every other teacher in the school, which was meeting that person, that individual, where they needed to be met in terms of me responding to their individuality and their needs. Now, I only realised this later on that probably that was an exceptional approach. But it made me the practitioner that I am. It made me the Senko that I became. And it's made me the human sensitive person, very responsive to people's thoughts, their frequencies, their needs, and how to get the best from our relationship in a learning, teaching relationship, and allowing them to guide me, because when you have that much neurodiversity going on, as I do, I would disclose things to my students. So rather than, if you see me make a spelling mistake, tell me. If I've made a mathematical error, tell me. You'll see it faster than me. And so I think I disclosed to my children before I ever disclosed to my colleagues about my challenges. And that is what helped to shape me as well. It's having that warm human relationship. And because of that, those young people related to me and they needed me as their Senko, as their person to share their challenges. You don't know what you don't know. You could have a group of children with aphantasia and never know that when you say, okay, we're going to, this is classic with dyslexia teaching, we're going to produce an orthographic response now. We're going to look at these phonics and these sounds. We're going to match them to images. And I want you to remember it that way. If you're someone with aphantasia, that learning method is never going to suit you. And as teachers, we just assume that one way is the best way to teach something, because we don't know what we don't know. And until we communicate, open up and ask questions, we are just going to project what we think the best way for that person to learn is at them, rather than develop the relationship that enables them to thrive under your skill set, your ability to teach and enrich them.
Wow.
I completely agree, Julia, and we can end up compartmentalizing into our chosen way. And this idea of what you're saying about opening up is so important, to go, actually, there are other ways. I may have one way, but there are other ways. And it must have been exhausting for you, to because you had all this toolkit and all of these strategies kind of before you actually started like the teaching or the lesson, because you were sorting everything out so that you could get, like you say, those connections with the children, the human connections, which are, I would say, the most important thing. But to get all that before you actually begin a lesson, and it's fascinating, isn't it, Sarah, to hear about?
Really interesting.
Yeah. So if we move on to, Julia, I'm very excited about this. If Send were a song, what would it be and why?
Now then, initially when I thought about this, I thought, it's Nina. It's 99 Red Balloons. It's you and me in a little toy shop. Buy a bag of balloons with the money we've got. Set them free at the break of dawn, and one by one they were gone. Back at base, sparks in the software. Flash the message, something's out there, floating in the summer sky. 99 red balloons go by. Are you ready? Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Okay. If you know the song,
We hoped you were going to sing.
You bet.
See, so there you go. So thanks.
Well, we're going back to the 80s. It's actually the first single I bought from W.H. Smith in Uxbridge in West London with my with my money going in and thinking, oh, I really want them to be number one. I love this song so much. And I understood the coding of it, I think, instinctively. Just this idea of something being misunderstood, completely misunderstood. So this idea that you're in a toy shop, you buy a bag of balloons and you let them go at the break of dawn. These beautiful red balloons, they go up into the sky. And back at base, something in the software flashes the message, something's out there. Look, there's recognition. Here's a challenge. Here's a problem. Something's going on. But instead of us looking at it and recognizing what it is, something beautiful, maybe something fun, something that could be cherished, nurtured, observed. Actually, the message, something's out there, the response is a military response to sort of shoot down those red balloons. And it sparks a war effort. The war machine springs to life in the song. And so instead of these balloons being something joyful, they become panic here. It's red alert. There's something here from somewhere west. This is what we've waited for. This is it, boys. This is war. The president is on the line. And it's just 99 red balloons going by. Do we, here's the thought, as practitioners and as people who guide policy around SEND, think of the challenges that young people have in a medicalised way as something that has to be dealt with, managed,
Change.
as people who have to be pushed into a situation that is perhaps different and other from what they want to be, which is kind of free, individual, free thinking, beautiful people with their own differences. And instead, we're looking at that in the wrong way. We're looking at it as challenges that have to be dealt with, rather than saying, how can we celebrate this? So there you go.
I love
That's
that.
my send as a song.
And honestly, well, I've got to listen to the song again, first of all, because I think that's the whole thing with songs and lyrics, isn't it? About the power. It's the power of the message that actually we're not even aware of. And that is such a powerful message. Do we shoot them down, or do we understand? And then it comes back to that curiosity. Do we kind of like become curious about that and look at what they're saying to us? Yeah, very powerful. Thank you, Julia. Thank you for singing that as well.
And Julia, I have to say, you've done a wonderful, is it a synopsis of it? Because actually,
Yeah.
I've heard that song so many times.
Yeah, me too.
And
I've said it.
I have never actually unpicked it like that. And as you did it, it set like the hairs on my arms came up. I was like, oh my goodness, that is the story. Because as Sarah says, we can
story. Yeah.
listen, but not actually internalize the words. So thank you. I am going to, like Sarah says, I'm going to go and listen to it again, because
Yeah.
it's
just to get that.
exactly what can happen in education.
Yeah.
Children being joyful, children being free, children being individual versus that panic and
In this.
seeing it as a huge challenge. I love it, Julia. Thank you
Yeah,
so
I love
much.
it. And actually, I was just thinking, because of course, with the Go All In campaign, with the National Year of Reading, that the big if on the film, it has a big thing about finding out the meaning behind the lyrics of your favourite song that you sing all the time, and about the power of that in education currently, and about the power of that for our young people. And actually, you've just given us that power now. We're both going to go and listen again. Yeah, thank you for that.
I've given you a somatic experience by describing it, and I hope your audience get the somatic. It's that tingle across the shoulder factor. That's the somatic experience. So as someone who doesn't necessarily tune into visual things, my somatic experience is incredibly important. So my relationship to music and sound is about how it makes my body feel. And so it's not just the lyrics, but actually at the end of that song, and here's just the final bit for you to, when you listen to it again, when the song returns to the little toy shop at the end, the last lyric is, and here is a red balloon, I think of you and let it go. And then there's an elongation of the music, like the balloon is just lifting into the sky. Oh my God.
I'm going to
I
cry.
get that
We'll all be, yeah. But that's the power, isn't it?
That's the power.
That's the power of listening and thinking and just being aware of, because it's the power of words. That's a bit that we've forgotten within so much, isn't it? That power of words to change. I love that you were saying there about how the body feels as well, because that's something in terms of it, we're understanding that a bit more within our classrooms and within learning. But that's such a key aspect that's missed in so many of our classrooms. So yeah, that's
And also, what
Yeah.
you've
Cognitive
really
liberal
tuned in on as well,
Yeah.
Julia, is the words, the music, the
oh yeah.
silence, the elongation of the sound. As you were explaining it, I was like, oh my goodness. You know, it's all of those, well, together or separately. You'll know more, Julia, but that at the end about the balloon, and then you're saying, and that sound, just,
Yeah.
and it's that calmness as well, isn't it?
Yeah, amazing. So, my goodness, the final question, Julie, we have for you is around a book that you'd like to share with us. And again, it can be anything,
Yes.
but just, you know,
Bit of a
something that you
shameless
think of.
plug, really, a shameless plug for a wonderful book by a wonderful person. He's Dr. Tristan Middleton, who is a lecturer at University of Gloucester and also someone who works closely with NASEN. He has put together a book called The Send Practitioner. I think it's going to be absolutely a formative piece of work for anybody who wants to think about status, skills, and support. As a teacher, as someone with neurodivergence, but also operating with neurodivergent people. It's so it's called The SEND Practitioner Status, Skills and Support. It's a NASEN Spotlight book. Tristan Middleton is the editor. It's going to be out on the 22nd of June, 2026. And I have written a chapter for it. I'm very excited to have been able to do that. My chapter reflects some of the things that we've talked about today. It reflects on my journey, masking as a neurodivergent practitioner. So if you found that interesting, you can unpick and dive into that. But the book is put together by a range of absolutely fantastic practitioners, all with different perspectives on the SEND practitioner as a SEND, being within the SEND sphere. So I'd like to highlight that and absolutely encourage your audience to perhaps find a copy of that or dip in or have a look at it, because I think it's going to maybe change the way we think about how we approach teaching, training, and our support of young people in the future.
Brilliant. That sounds absolutely amazing, and it's always really important to have all those different viewpoints as well. So I really, yeah, I'm going to be looking out for that one then as well. Jenny, I love that. Julia, thank you so much. Thanks so much for all of your wisdom and sharing so much information.
And I think what
There's
I've
a lot
really
going
taken
on all the time.
All three heads here. There's a lot going on all the time. I think, yeah, I think that's true. Yeah.
I think what I've taken from it as well is this idea of practitioners and practitioners who are neurodivergent and how they can share their experiences from kind of from when they were childhood, younger, and that then helps with the toolkit to be able to support other people. I think it is just brilliant, Julia, to have this being opened out so much more. And it sounds like the book, The SEND Practitioner Status, Skills and Support, is also going to beautifully highlight this too. So yes, I can't wait to read it.
Brilliant. Yeah. Love all of that. Wonderful.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Julia.
It's lovely to be able to share. Lovely. And I really hope your audience will get that Nina 99 balloons and put it on and have a think.
Well, yeah, no, we'll all be listening
And I
to
hope
that.
And I think you're the first person that's actually sung their song.
Maybe we should make that a thing, Ginny.
Yeah, brilliant. So yes, absolutely brilliant. And I've learned so much. That's what I love. I've learned so much from catching up with you, Julia. And as we say, Sarah, it's always a pleasure.
Never a chore. Julia, thank you so much. See you again, guys. Bye. Thanks for joining us this time on Catching Up with Sarah and Ginny.
Always a pleasure and never a chore.
Whoa.